how are we going to bring the high levels of violence down?
Well, I mean, I welcome, after a long time, the decision to actually put an anti-gang unit in place, focus on it. I mean, we are concerned that many of the anti-gang unit members have been pulled from other police stations. We already have too few police officers, men and women, in this province. Our ratio is right out compared to other places. And in actual fact, the ratio should be the opposite, because there should be more, as I said, zoom in on the problem. And I think that's what it needs. It needs a focus. It's not as if gangsterism is a unique problem to us and the crime that goes with it, the drugs, the holding people hostage. It happens all around the world. I mean, South America, I mean, Los Angeles is a big, big problem with gangsterism. But that's not necessarily saying, well, we've got to give up. We've got to find our own mechanisms, our own ways of dealing with it. And it's not about only dealing with policing, because what I've picked up now in the last few months, we've got to police on the one side, we've got to get behavioral change on the other side, and we've got to come in with alternatives in the economy on the other side. So it is a multifaceted, whole of society issue that we've all got to agree that we are all going to play our part in making a difference, in actually reducing that crime and that angst that people live with every single day here.
Public-private partnerships are critical. What opportunities are there so that we can win this war?
So I absolutely believe in that. So already, if you think of the public-private partnerships at the moment, the neighborhood watches, the CPFs, that's the perfect example of the public coming along, trying to find solutions here. We actually have to take that again to the next level. How is business getting themselves involved? How is business that is especially involved in fighting crime, in technology, and how do we overlay those technologies? I'm really keen on making sure that we bring those to the party. We've got to use technology, we've got to use camera systems, we've got to use number plate recognition systems. We've got it. They're all in separate silos. We've got to bring those together. So partnership is what it's about.
Do you still firmly believe that soldiers can make a difference and restore law and order?
Okay, so obviously in a civilian society, it's actually not the right space for soldiers to be walking around with, armed. Soldiers' jobs are very different to a policeman or a policewoman's job. But you just have to walk the streets. Just go and knock on some of these doors here and ask some of these grands or some of these moms. And it's not me, it's them. And the reason they're doing it is they are desperate. They are absolutely desperate. And it's happened before. We know that there are certain areas of the Cape Flats that have actually had high crime rates, massive gangsterism, shooting, and military have come in. Military is not to come in to actually solve the problem, to actually start having warfare with the gangsters. Their job is to keep the peace. And, if you just have to walk the streets, you'll see it's the grannies and the moms, the ones that are desperate. Those are the same grannies and moms that are walking the streets in our neighborhood watches.
Are the three arms of our government really working together to make our cities, our suburbs safer?
Unfortunately not. The city of Cape Town and Long Street and the policing of the city of Cape Town has become an over-politicized issue. And that seems to prevent these arms of governments working in concord with each other to provide a public safety net for all our citizens.
Let's talk about gang warfare. We know it's rife, lives are being lost, calls for the army to be brought in, the police minister saying no. What are we going to do? What should we be doing to fight this scourge?
Well, one of the things we should be doing is demanding that they all sit down, that they leave their personalities and their politics at the door, and that they have an honest conversation with the people of Cape Town. We're working towards an election year, and maybe that is what we as the citizens of the city of Cape Town, beautiful as it is, and it's unfortunately a beauty which ordinary people do not get to enjoy. And for that to happen, the first port of call is to have an honest conversation. Then to understand the plight of people's lives, then to understand how routinely the city's budget, I would still argue, neglects the very poor. With public transport, people spend way too much money getting to and from work. This is also where big business should come to the table. when and how business hours are run, when and how trains run, when and how buses run, all affects whether I am exposed to harm and whether I'm vulnerable to crime. That's a conversation we have to have, and the sooner we have that conversation honestly and forthrightly with each other, without getting defensive and understanding that jurisdictional issues do not matter to ordinary people.
Not only in the inner city, the Cape Flats, throughout South Africa, the drug scourge is a massive problem. It's a massive menace in our society. What are the solutions?
Well, where people are vulnerable and they feel that they have no other way of coping, tomorrow don't seem certain, and you have starving kids, what do? You want to numb yourself and you want to basically block out the world. This is true, though, for every society recovering from deep trauma and conflict. I've seen it in Belfast. I've seen it in cities in the former Soviet Union. Cities where there's been conflict, cities where there's been strife between citizens. Those individuals use drugs to cope, and the biggest two of them are cigarettes and alcohol.
Now, we know Cape Town has been labeled one of the most violent cities around South Africa. What's the problem? Life just simply too cheap? Levels of violence are unacceptably high?
Well, understand where this violence is happening. It's happening in an area where people feel their lives don't matter, where they don't feel cared to, where life is a commodity. In fact, it can be taken away from you or it can be given to you on lease. The relationships are functional. That's what I can get from you and what you can get from me. Those areas continue to be neglected 25 years into our democracy. And that's the big concern. There seem to be different Cape Towns for different people in Cape Town.
Can you recognize any of these missing individuals and help reunite them with their loved ones? Can you recognize any of these wanted criminals and help to get them behind bars? Remember, your tip-offs can be anonymous. Thank you for watching Crime Watch. I'm Yusuf Abramjee. It's a war, and we are going to win it.